Well, when we rebranded, by we I mean just me, to Unsleeved Media, I promised that I would be covering other trading card games, at least on the surface, so that we could all enjoy some other alternatives out there. Because look, Magic the Gathering may be the largest trading card game forever, for all we know. But that doesn't mean that there aren't hundreds of thousands of other people, or people who decide to play both, playing other trading card games. And so why should we leave them out? I know these videos aren't necessarily the most viewed on this channel, but I still think, you know, giving games like Megacorp, for example, a shot, a little bit of spotlight is good. And so today I have a package all the way from Singapore from Dragoborne, Bushiroad's new trading card game. Now, I've known games like Vanguard have been around for quite some time, and I know a little bit of the history around Bushiroad, but I gotta say, I've never really played much of their games. I admire the art style not being so, how do I say, muted. I enjoy that. And so I noticed that Dragoborne had come out, and Colt's very excited to check it out. He's probably going to jump up here, and I'm not going to be able to stop him. So I reached out to them to see if I could get some of their product, because I wasn't totally sure where to get it at the time. Although now I notice you can get any of this stuff on Amazon. So I'll provide an affiliate link below where you can pick this stuff up should you want to try Dragoborne after I talk a little bit more about it. The one thing I noticed is, and maybe this is true of all Bushiroad games, but usually when I see a booster box, I'm like, oh, this costs $100. But these booster boxes are more like in the 60s. But it has 8 cards per pack, 120 types, and 120 parallel. I'm assuming the parallel means that it's like foil versions. But I definitely am a fan of the very smart art on some of the cards. Colt's just gonna lay down. All right, fine. You live here now, Colt. But let's take a look at why we might want to check out Dragonborne, because there's some interesting things about this. So with Bushiroad, they have a lot of different games out there, but with Dragoborne, they brought in Mike Elliott. And I had to read up a little bit about him, but if you didn't know, Mark Rosewater actually called him one of the most prolific Magic designers in the history of the game. This guy is actually in the Academy of Adventure Gaming Arts and Design Hall of Fame, and has been involved with Wizards of the Coast, WizKids, and now Bushiroad. He's been a part of games like Dice Master, and just the dude knows how to put together a good game. The number of sets that he's been on is absurd. Trading card games, everything from Battle Spirits to Duel Masters, Harry Potter trading card game, Simpsons trading card game, Card Jutsu, Star Wars Force of Attack, Dragonborne. Then he's got his dice games, involved in some HeroClix Alpha Miniatures game. So I gotta have a little faith that Mike knows what he's doing. And this video isn't going to be about how to play Dragoborne. There are tons of tutorials out there. It's a tower defense style collectible card game that has different zones, and you basically work with mana as well, just like you do in Magic the Gathering. Look at this. They sent a playmat. Wow. So there are plenty of waifus if you're into that stuff. I think that's par for the course. I'll actually link the trailer at the end of this video. If I can put it on the video, I will. If I can link it, if I can't, I will link it. Because the trailer kind of tells you a little bit about the game, a little bit about the lore. They've got a lore person. They've got a pretty deep team. What they also have are these decks. And this may be an unfair way of saying this, but it's probably like Kaijudo or Magic the Gathering with the dice, with a dice element. So let's pick one of these. I don't know which one I want to open. Let's see. We've got Alpha Dominance. I don't know if I actually have the window still open, but these are not very expensive either. Yeah, $17. You can get them prime shipped. 17 to 20 bucks. And again, these are well-known decks. They are balanced against each other, so you should be pretty good there. I think I like... We have Shadow Legion. These aren't all of them. I think they might have more available, too. They've got Mystical Hunters. And Alpha Dominance. Let's go with Alpha Dominance because it's dragons. Dragoborne aims to engage players with a strategic gameplay that marries a traditional trading card game with the use of dice within the game's mechanics. Players assume the role of a Dragoborne, vying for supremacy against other Dragoborne, each with their own agendas. This is a beatdown deck that's consistent in power. This is a strategic deck. I like that they tell you that, so you can kind of match your... This is an aggressive deck. So you can already see that Mike's influence from Magic the Gathering is there in that he understands, you know, you have different colors of mana. Here we have red, blue, green in this deck. This deck is black, red, yellow. Oh, the color of the dice match. Green, yellow, blue, if I'm not colorblind. Inside here you have your rule book. And I watched a lot of videos on this. So your objective of the game is to destroy all your opponent's forts. At the end of each turn, if a player has no remaining forts, that player loses the game. Alternatively, a player loses when he or she is required to draw more cards than are left in the deck. So you can deck them out, or you can destroy their defenses. Then you have the layout of the card. You have parts of a card, so you have spells, and then you have banners. Banners indicate what they are, and that kind of works how your mana goes. Deck player outline, and all sorts of stuff like that. You also have your turn flow. So you have your start phase, stand up, your dice step, your draw step, your resource step, then main phase, combat phase, end phase. Whoever goes first can attack. And then you actually have, if I can, I'm going to probably switch to the wider camera so you can see this. Now, this is a playmat that's going to be helpful to play. It's not so complex that you couldn't play without it, you know? But what's nice is, at least for learning the game, you have this, which will show you all the areas. So you have your banner area on the bottom, then your fort, and then your ambush, which is kind of like, must like kind of be the combat area. Then you have your dice area here, where after you roll your dice, they go. Then your deck, your discard pile. And then here's some help how to play. And then on the back of this actually talks about the deck and some of the strategies. So you have, I'm never going to fold this back up correctly, am I? This is not, oh, well, I'll be. I actually really like, I mean, you know, people don't love, one of people's, you know, the most frustrating parts of any trading card game is the variance. And so mana, and that's one of the reasons Hearthstone turned out so good. Card quality feels good. And we have one foil version. I actually think I read somewhere that you can have some possible foils of each card. So you have, oh shoot, probably should show you the cards, huh? So we have our dice here that you roll during your dice phase. And then you get different denominations. You have your, you know, 3, let's say a 3 and a 4. And then you can see on the bottom, let's see, let's find a card that has, I do enjoy this art. And what's there not to enjoy about an Elven Far Striker? And then you have your attack and your EDR, which probably is defense. And this is kind of its casting cost. You can pay the 4 of any mana, but at least, or of any color, but at least one of them has to be the color of the item. You can say, put this card in your resource zone, but then with Fort Burst. When this card is a barrier and would be put into your hand due to damage, you may play this ability instead. So you can blow up a fort with it. I'm trying to find this art. I'm just trying to just show you. Here, when this creature is whatever this phase is, increase the values of your die by 1 dice. Here looks like just basic creatures. I'm trying to find one that... Yeah, so here's green. Oh, my cat's clicking my mouse. Hopefully it didn't turn off the recording. Thanks, Colt. I don't know. This is pretty interesting. When it attacks, you know, you may choose a creature, deal 1 damage to it. So basically, looks like you get 1 foil version, and then the rest are non-foil. Lots of interesting things. I don't want to talk too specifically about how to play the game. I'll link in the description to how to play it. But what I can tell you about Dragoborne is it's not a fly-by-night company, obviously. Bushiroad's been around a long time. I've never really played a tower defense style CCG, but I think one of the most important qualifications on whether or not a trading card game is going to make it is obviously the design, which I put my faith in Mike Elliott. You can say that these cards are kind of simplistic, and you can be jaded and say, like, well, the game's really similar to Magic. Well, how wouldn't it be, right? I mean, come on. But it has a lot of uniqueness. Plus, I think the die roll thing, like, for example, rolling 1s isn't necessarily the end of the world. You may be able to do certain things with that. And now you have, you know, all sorts of more random, fun things to do on your turn. And, like, I don't know. I kind of like that. I think that it's a pretty interesting way to look at things. And I actually did a little bit of digging around, and the secondary market, kind of like Final Fantasy, TCG, is actually decent. These cards are holding some value, and people are trading to improve their decks, and people are enjoying premium versions of them. And part of that is because I actually like this as a deck box. It's a little, you know, nice little thing. Now, if you look at, you know, these booster boxes, I don't know. Let me know in the description below, or the comment section down below, if you want me to do a booster box opening. For right now, I'll just kind of leave it as a prop behind me and follow the game as new sets come out. So you have 8 cards per pack, 120 total types. Then you have double rare, rare, uncommon, and common. There are parallel versions of all normal cards in the set. So either parallel is alt art, or it might be the foil. I'm not sure. I'm not used. If you know what that terminology, let me know in the description below. But I don't know. What have you heard about Dragoborne? Have you played it? They actually are having worldwide tournament support. They're putting a decent amount of marketing behind it. And Bushiroad also has some other trading card games. So I'm hoping that, you know, Mike stays with the game and that he continues to make the cards a bit more complex. But for right now, it looks cool. And like I said, you can get... What I like about these games, the same thing I talked about with Megacorp, you can get a couple of these pre-built decks, and if the game never goes anywhere, you can always play that. If you want to get booster boxes, you can do that too. This game is a little bit different in that I'm relatively certain it's going to be around at least several sets. And so, you know, I'm excited for it. What do you think? The mechanics, you know, the tower defense style is interesting. I don't know if I can ever get used to like this. I almost would want a playmat with all the zones laid out on it so that I wouldn't have to remember it. But I imagine it's just like Magic. After a while, you're like, the mana goes here, the creatures go here, the enchantments go here, graveyard goes here, exile goes here, no problem. So this actually just came out. There's a new set coming out in November this year, so they're definitely designing out for it. So I look forward to seeing things like abilities land on the creatures and stuff like that. But I'm excited to give this game a shot. I'm actually going to sleeve up these decks after the video And tomorrow I'm going to be hanging out with a friend, and we're going to play this game. From what I watched online, it's pretty fun. You can read more at their main website, and they have a YouTube channel too. They have some pretty nice animations. They kind of put Magic's animations to shame, so good on that. But I don't know. What do you think of Dragoborne? Think it's got a chance? I like to see that the secondary market's there. And, you know, quietly, games like Final Fantasy TCG are hanging out. It's on their third release. So, you know, Dragoborne could be one of those games, too, that just hangs out, has its following. And, you know, if it can hold in the secondary market, that's going to be a huge win. So, good luck to you, Dragoborne. Thank you for sending this to me. And I hope you guys all enjoyed a look at it in the comment section down below. Let me know any questions you have or what you think of the game. Hope you enjoyed this video. We'll talk to you again real soon.